I don't know if I'm ready for this. Earlier today, I was watching the comedy special on Netflix called Tom Middleton and Ben Schwartz. It was their hour-long improv special, and it reminded me of a scene I did in a senior film. It had me going through my old terabyte looking at some of the old student films I did. I decided that I wanted to torture myself by watching my student film appearances. There's a student film that I did years ago. It was my very first film appearance. To the writer's credit, her name is Eliza. She wrote a film about somebody that turns out to, well, I'm not going to reveal the twist anyway, but her script was not bad. My performance was very bad. I watched some of these earlier today. I did not watch this one in a long time.
Okay, so why don't you tell me what a day in the life of Cliff
Oh, you can call me Buddy.
Buddy Gillis is
You
like?
can tell all the fidgeting. I was just not at all comfortable in front of the camera.
Why don't we start with the tour?
Great. Let's do that.
Can you tell that he's not recording with that camera because it was pointed down on my knees? Okay, sorry to pause. Quick thing. Some people have their nervous tics when they are acting, and what I have currently is my eyebrows move a lot. My forehead creases when I'm nervous and I'm not sure what to say. It does this. My tic in this very first one was that I did a lot of stuff with my tongue and my mouth. It was like, and I.
Just hang out and relax and get away from the world. I like to make my bed every
Cat
day.
poster, the guy holding a
Like
cat.
getting into you don't get a lot of respect from people on the outside. They think anyone could do it, and that's not true because there's a certain skills and techniques that you need in order to be in the business. Slice it up and add peanut butter, or yogurt, or cottage cheese.
That's so awkward.
He's lying.
This bitch of a cat.
Listen to eat.
Its name was Cusco, and it scratched the fuck out of my arms, and they swole and they bled. Oh,
Hey
Chloe.
Tits, how are you? Now what I want you to do is write your name really
Hey
seductively
Tits,
on the
how are
board.
you?
Use cursive. Cursive is what gets people off. I like this tie. Reminds me of my son. Reminds me of my son. Reminds me of my son. And it looks nice and arousing. Okay, bring the slate in.
Teacher's Pet 3, Booty Call, Scene 8, Shot 3, Take 12.
And fuck!
Okay, so anyone that wanted me to make an OnlyFans account on TikTok, you're welcome. That was my porn star debut. Now, I want to preface this one here. The girl who wrote and directed this, I felt so bad for her because her producer, the student that was her producer, did a terrible job, overbooked herself, was shooting her own film, and ruined so much of this. And then this girl had a DP set for one day. We filmed a whole entire day in this one classroom, and then all of the footage was very bumpy because the rig that they had it set on was just like a little cart used for chairs. So it came out looking very bad.
You can be normal again, just like everybody else.
She was Peter Pan, and she was very good in that. Something about Ian reminds me of my brother. Maybe it's the facial hair. Ivy's a musician right now, and she has some good music out there, and then she was in this limited series I saw recently. So when you go off your meds, you find your microwave dinner hilarious.
My name's Lucas, by the way. I tend to make a joke out of my own situation. It keeps me from completely hating
This is on the nose writing here.
See that. My name is Chris. Hello, class.
That was another film student they had to fill in.
I'm sorry that we're stuck in a church basement on such a gorgeous day.
You can tell she was waiting for her cue. My favorite character is the girl in the green right there.
It's Kristen.
I can't tell if I'm asking her out
And I guess
during therapy in front of everyone or not. Here's my number. You just text me address and the time for everything. Is it romantic or slimy to write your phone number on somebody's hand with a pen? Actually, that's probably better because then you could just wash it off and then you don't have to regret calling them the next day.
Nice apartment.
Echo.
Beautiful as well.
Thank you.
I think that was in the Americana apartment complex, which is like the biggest party complex at Penn State.
I don't believe in any of
So,
that, so I have no
this
idea.
entire scene was improvised, and there's a part where she asks if I know someone that works at her coffee place with her, and I said, no, he's black. So I was thinking of my friend Stefan. There was a scripted scene where I'm speaking to her, and it cuts away to an old man in her place that I'm allegedly talking to my dad. So it does not make sense the way that this jumps to something drastic here. Like, so I just kill this girl for no reason. It does not make sense because they cut out that bit of the script. I want to find out if that girl is still working in television right now. I guess she did not move into film after that. I feel bad for her though. She got a bad roll of the dice there with the producer she ended up having. This is like the Office version of if a camera crew was backstage for a musical as everything is going down, but it's these actors that are about to do the musical version of the movie Fight Club.
Mic check!
Kristen,
Everyone go upstairs. Mic check is happening right now.
she's a brilliant New York actress. And she just got married, and I think she lives in England now. Oh, that's the basement of Schwab Auditorium. I never saw the Schwab Ghost. That was a suit jacket I got from Goodwill. Amy in the plaid looks so much like my agent. That was at the forefront of my thoughts when I went for my interview. That was actually pretty funny. So the girl that wrote and directed this is the younger sister of the girl that wrote and directed the first one we watched.
I want you to hit me as hard as you can. Okay.
Okay, so relatable, being somebody that is on the queer spectrum, trying to act straight. My lip syncing was a bit off here, so please forgive me.
I'm addicted to a pastime. Some people might not call it the norm. My insomnia just won't be relieved without these victims to make me feel at ease. Cancer.
How do I remember the words to this? Oh, that's Steve. He's a drag queen now.
Go away, no, really, go get out of here.
Oh, this lip syncing is not happening.
This
is my thing.
This is my thing.
Fuck you.
Okay, point here. What happened was I went and I recorded the audio for the music, and then on the day of filming, we were hearing it for the first time, and my mistake was I thought it would look more realistic if I actually sang it out loud at the same time. And what happened was that I was singing it, but I wasn't completely hearing the track. So, full-heartedly, I would say, if you're lip-syncing music, do not try to sing live over it. So this might be the best student film that I was in, maybe ever. It was written by somebody named Brian Keith, who owns a company called Normancy Designs. I believe it's called Normancy Designs. He makes logos and stuff now. For a while he was working at a startup company. He worked on this film called Non-Transferable, I believe. And then he was running a web series for a while called The Salt Mine, which was about these friends and talking about how salty they were about these games that they were playing. I think he was one of the more talented film students at Penn State. He and Pablo, I think, were two of the best film students I knew when I was there, along with Chelsea. I saw Chelsea years later. There was me, I was playing this guy, Kenny, and then there's David, and then they had Vince. Vince went on to be in the Air Force, I believe. And he was the director of a play I did in college called Almost Maine. I think Vince was like the best theatrical director I've ever worked with, and I'd probably still stand by that today. Brian did an amazing job with this, so I hope he moves back into film work at some point in time because I think he's a very talented guy. 8:30. I can't remember. I think this was Brian's room. I watched this one earlier today too, so. Oh, Gavin! That's right, Gavin was in this. That is actually a weather station that we were operating out of. That was a photo of young Vince Stratton sitting in his cubicle. It makes no sense. Also, if you couldn't tell, his bow tie was Batman.
You gotta fix them. Where's best friends? Best friends.
Okay, this took a spooky turn because the lights just went out.
We need to get him his balls back.
Look, he just needs time. Let's just get Kenny some
I
time.
got it. Oh, Jesus. What if we present the same scenario to him, only this time we make him the hero?
Okay, my audio had to be done all in ADR because the snack machines were so loud.
Oh, you guys.
And then I sound like Squidward.
Actually, it's kind of nice to finally talk about it.
Enough small talk.
Why is my lip syncing for that better than the song in the last one? Hey, it is John in editing here. I had about another half hour's worth of footage out of reactions. I had one more from my early student film days and then another chunk from ones after I moved to Washington. And as I reviewed all of the footage, something happened with the microphone where apparently all the audio sounds like I'm going through a static tunnel. So it's completely unusable. It would be disingenuous to reenact all of my reactions, but I think we left on a high note there. What I wanted to say in closing is that everybody has something that they can teach you. No matter how old you are and how young they might be, you have something that you can learn from everyone, so approach everything wholeheartedly and open-heartedly. Nowadays with student films, the equipment that they have at school is just so exquisite that things from student films are good enough to be used on professional reels sometimes, depending on the quality of the projects. So treat everyone with respect. Okay, so stay humble and keep working hard. Okay, goodbye.
I like this tie. Reminds me of my son.